Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the show. Welcome to A Drink with Live. Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. So glad that you guys are all with us there in our virtual audience. I am so excited you're here, and I know why you're here because tonight's guest, she's all the things. She is so incredibly sweet, firstly, good person, but a TV host, an author, a cooking guru, a mom, a wife. Let's bring her to the stage, courtesy of our partner, Think Protein Bars tonight, making this all possible. Hello, Katie Lee.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, and she brought a guest. Look at that.
Me. He was dancing.
Wait, who is that?
This is Gus. And he's always happy when the baby's gone to bed because that means he gets to be number one baby again.
Was Gus your first baby before Iris?
Yeah. Yes, he was. Yes, he's adjusting.
So sweet. Well, what may I ask? Oh, I love that. What are you drinking tonight? We always start the show, because that's the show. What do you have there? What's the beverage?
I'm having my favorite. This is a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, which I always love New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. I think they're so good. This is the, full disclosure, the same bottle that I've had open for about the last 4 nights. And I have my, little tiny glass every evening.
Actually, that's pretty impressive. That's like a real stretch in my world. That's very, very cool. I wonder what you would think of my wine since you're the food guru. I'm trying a new, it's actually called Dry Farm Wines. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they are, it's an all natural.
Yeah, I get their Instagram ads all the time. So tell me what you think of it.
Well, it's literally my first glass, and this is, I believe it's a Malbec and a Merlot mix, but it's organically made, no sugar, very low carbs, even lower alcohol, I think, than the typical wine, and so far, so good. It's really delicious.
I like it. Yeah, I've been wanting to try these low alcohol wines because I feel like then, you can have a little more because at this point in my life, I can have 1 glass and I feel buzzed. And if I have 2, then I'm hungover the next day. But I want the taste and I want to keep drinking. So I feel like I need to try one of those low alcohol ones.
Well, I know somebody, so we've got you covered. We got you covered. And that is a big piece of it. Isn't that the truth? Once you become a mom, it's like nobody has time the next morning to nurse a hangover or a headache or all these things. We got to keep it moving. So yeah, I think the 100%. Low sugar and the way this is made is supposed to really help with that.
Okay, good. I want to try it.
Well, we have so much to get to, so I want to dive right in. I mean, I know this because we were in the green room before the show started, but it's later where you are. You're on the East Coast. It's 9 p.m., so the baby is in bed. Your husband's missing. Like, you've got alone time right now. That must be very rare these days.
Yes. So my baby goes to bed at 7 o'clock. She's pretty much like clockwork. She has a very strong internal clock, it seems. And then I get to have my evenings. So I usually pop some popcorn and watch some Bravo and just chill out. I love getting in bed.
I know. You just want to collapse. I know the feeling after the end of a very, very long day, especially with a baby under 1 year old. I recall the days. But how do you carve out time for yourself? I mean, is this really it? At the end of the day, that's kind of it? Or do you make a point of throughout the week or throughout the days kind of preserving some, I don't even know if it's self-care, but just preserving some time with yourself to kind of check in with yourself to make sure you're doing okay?
For me, that's really like during her nap time. I'll have, I cut myself some slack. If it's 2:30 in the afternoon and she's asleep and I have 10 emails to get to, but I feel like I can't see straight, I will go sit in bed and watch TV for 20 or 30 minutes. and then get to the emails and do it a little bit later. And I
Yeah.
apologize to people I haven't gotten back to, but I feel like right now my sanity is more important. And so it's like I get
Yes.
to it when I get to it. And then I've been going on Fridays to a Soul Cycle class. I've gone to the same Soul Cycle teacher, Lori Cole, for like probably 10, 12, 15 years, something like that. And she teaches a Friday 10:45, and I try to go to that class. So I
Mm.
love that class.
You feel good doing that. I love that. I love that commitment. And just like sometimes that's the way to do it. You got to put it on the calendar. And that's really the way that it happens. You know it's coming
Mm-hmm.
and you prepare for it and you're more likely to do it. You just mentioned the word sanity. Um, and you've also talked about kind of openly about just postpartum in general, and Amanda, from what I hear, and I certainly want to hear from you directly, like it hasn't been complete smooth sailing for you after having your baby. I don't know who it is smooth sailing for because it's such a major life adjustment. So what has that been like for you really just the last year, just adjusting to the changes in your body, the changes in your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, and just adapting to this new chapter of your life?
Well, it is a huge adjustment. And honestly, it's like I can't remember what life was like without her. I mean, it's the
Mm-hmm.
greatest love. And, you're a mom. It's like overwhelming. It's all consuming. All I can think about is how much I love this little tiny human. Physically, it has been challenging for me. Um, I had kind of a rough recovery. Physically, like I had a really hard time healing and spent like 4 or 5 weeks thinking, well, this is just how you feel, I guess. And finally went back to the doctor, and my doctor said, yeah, not quite healing, right? So thank goodness I went back. But I think if it hadn't been COVID, I probably would have gone right back to the doctor. I just was kind of like afraid to go anywhere at that point because we were
Right.
at the height of things and no vaccines
Yeah.
yet or anything. And I just didn't want to
Right.
expose myself or leave hello or leave my
Yep, that would be my son not reading the post-it note that says, "Don't come in, we're live." But that's okay. Carry on. Real life.
um, or leave
Sorry.
my baby. So that was just, it was that was tough, and I couldn't exercise, and it took me longer to get back to that point. And exercise had always been such a huge part of who I am. I loved my workout routine. So I was missing that and missing that connection to my body. Um, and just kind of grabbing whatever I could to eat and not carving out any time to cook anything healthy. And then I guess it was about November, I started doing WW and getting on that plan. And that just helped me remember how to eat again. It helped me think
Mm,
about getting those fruits and vegetables and getting nourishing my body. And then in January, I became one of their ambassadors. So it was like kind of awesome to do
that's
something and
great.
love it and then start working with them. Um, and I got back into my workout routine. I started doing well,
Mm,
I'd done it for a long time, but just had been out of practice. I started doing Obey Fitness online because being at home so much, and just kind of bringing it all back. And it's about finding like those little pockets of time to do it. I don't have help very often with the baby, so I'm trying to just work it in where I can.
yeah. Well, and I love that you are sharing what has served you with WW. I mean, yes, you're an ambassador, but I think just to know that you're sharing something that has worked for you with other women and helping them find their power through learning to eat so that they feel like their best self. I mean, I'm sure that's rewarding for you also, but
Mhm.
that community, we all kind of need those people in our lives or people we look to help shape that for us a little bit, I'm sure. So I'm glad you found that, and I'm glad you're
Yeah.
spreading the word, which is awesome. Do you feel stronger now? I mean, because, you know, at the end of the day, you found your workout again, and you found a way to manage your meals again. Do you feel like good in your skin right now today? How are you doing?
Some days yes, some days no. I mean, there's
Yeah.
times when I'll feel completely exhausted and think like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna feel rested again? And then like the other day, I slept 10 hours and felt like an amazing human being. And I
Oh,
think you have days where you feel like you're thriving and days where you feel like you're surviving. And on those thriving days when it's like, yes, got up, I had my fruit bowl, I made my big kale salad for lunch, and then I cooked a fabulous dinner, and the baby likes what I'm making her, and my husband's happy, and we're all, yay. And then you have a day where it's like, oh my gosh, just give me the bag of potato chips and, and I'm not working out. And but I think that's how everybody is. It's like, and
yeah.
everything in your life too. It's
And you're
finding the
laughing
balance.
about it. I think that's what's great. It's like you're not taking yourself too seriously. Like you can laugh and go, I mean, this is what it is, right? Day at a time. And you're so
Mhm.
honest. So that I really appreciate that, because I think people need to see truth, you know? It's not all fairy tale all the time, because it is true. We could look at you from far away, not knowing you, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this amazing career and this gorgeous husband and this beautiful, healthy baby, and she's got her, all the things. But you, like all of us, there are the good days, there are the bad days, and you just have to keep showing up, right?
100%.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Instagram
100.
versus reality. And I try to keep it real on social media because, like,
Yeah.
I'll look at some people's social media sometimes and be like, God, how does she have it so figured out? And you
Yeah.
have to remember that people are people.
Yes, you do.
Everybody's
Yes, you
having
do.
this similar struggle.
The difference though, the difference is you're in the public eye, right? So, I mean, like another to kind of piggyback on this same topic, I read a headline today that said Katie Lee Biegel gets back to her pre-baby weight. Now, when you read a headline like that, does that make you cringe? Does that make you proud? Like, where do you put that? Because there does seem to be somewhat of an unhealthy obsession put on women after they have babies to it's that bounce back,
Yes.
snap back body pressure. So, how do you feel about that?
I would say a headline like that makes me roll my eyes and kind of laugh because it's taken out of context. I did an Instagram post talking about how the number on the scale was back to what it was before I had a baby, but my body has changed so much. It's the same number on the scale, but I'm 2 sizes bigger than I was. My hips are
Mm.
wider. I don't have exactly the same body I did before, and I don't know that I ever will. And that's okay. And that's what we have to accept. I'd be lying if I said there weren't times when I looked in the mirror and said, like, gosh, I wish that my old jeans fit me. I've got this closet full of designer clothes that don't fit me anymore. But the reality is I have a great baby now and my life is just different. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what that number is. That just goes to show it doesn't matter what the number is. It's how you feel. That's what's important.
Yes, preach. That is right. Um, the other thing, it's so a lot of people focus when you're a new mom and your beautiful new baby, who I know you're completely obsessed with, but I think one of the other beautiful things about motherhood, especially when you have a partner like you do, is it's almost like really romantic looking at the dad in a new way, through a new lens, becoming a father and seeing like what that is like to witness him with your daughter and to see him kind of evolve and grow. What has that been like for you and your marriage, watching, you're this unit now, you're this family, but watching him and his new role as dad?
Oh my gosh, you're so right. To watch the love and the bond form between him and Iris, it's just, um, it makes my heart explode. I love seeing the two of them. Of course, she says "dada." That's like the only word she says. I'm like, come on, say mama. Um, but she loves him and idolizes him so much. And I think when we very first had her, I saw him in a totally different light. And I think he was seeing me in a different light. And it made us have this just totally different connection. And that you use the word family. That's really what it feels like. It really feels like family.
Oh, that is so, so nice. Very happy for you. That's amazing. About work. So, I mean, you're back on your show, you're filming, you're in studio, you have a new book. It's not complicated, your fourth book. Is it thrilling and kind of almost an escape to kind of be back at it and back at work and kind of having something else to focus on? Or do you feel still a little conflicted or like pressure that you have to produce and you have to get back to it or it's all going to dissolve? Like, what is your mindset in as it pertains to your career right now?
Well, when the week that my book came out was also the same week that I had to go back in studio for the first time. So it was like everything at once and trying to promote the book, but also be filming the kitchen at the same time. And it was like trains leaving the station, gotta just hold on. And maybe that was the best way to just jump in with both feet like that. Um, and I really enjoyed going back to work. I was so nervous to go. I thought that I was going to be so sad. And yes, I missed her, but I felt so invigorated and to be back. And maybe it was also from being home for so long and not being able to see people. It was just great to be back with my crew and my co-host. I had fun. It almost felt like a little bit of a vacation, like it was easier to be at work.
It's not the first time I've heard that. I think that is a pretty common feeling of moms sometimes where it's like, work, this is cake. This is a cakewalk compared to what it's like at home, right? You don't want to say that too loud, but it's often true, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's staying at home is really hard work.
Tell us about the new book, It's Not Complicated. I have not read it. I told you earlier, I'm cooking, Katie Lee. I give it a go. Sometimes I really am impressed with what I do, but if I'm too adventurous, then I always screw it up. So then my self-confidence is in the toilet. So I'm hoping, I'm thinking, I'm guessing your book, It's Not Complicated, is for maybe people like me where it's not that difficult and we can finger paint through this a little bit.
This is the
and
book
I
for
might
you,
be able to put something.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me.
It's not complicated. I truly believe that anybody can learn how to cook. And it's all about picking the right recipes. And truthfully, I don't like to cook complicated recipes. I know how to cook, and I don't want to look. If I look at a book and there's a big long list of ingredients and 2 pages on how you have to do it, and it takes 5 hours, next, I have no interest in that. And I like simpler foods anyway. Like, I love a great roast chicken. I'll just tell you exactly how to do it in the book, and it's very simple. Or I love to be able to turn the grill on, and the other night I made just grilled swordfish and chopped up some fresh tomatoes and put a little capers and olive oil in there. Easy, really simple recipes and great little hors d'oeuvres. Like, go buy a pack of prosciutto and then bake it in the oven and it gets nice and crispy. Serve that with a glass of champagne and you've got a great little cocktail hour going. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It's simple.
Okay. See, I get all hot and flushed when I think about what I have to do in the kitchen. I'm a much better eater than I am a cooker. How has, I think cooking shows, I think a lot of people agree, whether you're a novice or whether you're really good in the kitchen, watching TV shows about cooking are very therapeutic for people or relaxing. I like watching the shows, even though I'm not necessarily registering all of the to-dos, but I just love watching the preparation. I think there's something very soothing about watching cooking shows like yours. And they're so popular, as you well know. What would surprise people to learn about what's really going on from the production side of bringing that to life? Because it looks like, oh, beautiful, but we know how TV goes. That's not always the case.
I think what would surprise people, because cooking shows feel so intimate, it feels like just you and that other person and in the kitchen and just hanging out eating. But there's such a big production going on. On the kitchen, we have between 70 and 80 people working on that show. There's 2 culinary teams. Since there's 5 of us cooking, they have to have all the prep for everything. And I think that that's like the biggest surprise. People think it's just you and a camera, and there's really a lot going on and a lot of planning. So I had a production call today and planning Christmas menus, January menus. In fact, I think we were planning for episodes through February. So I always feel like my calendar goes by so quickly because it's like it'll be July and I've already made a turkey. And so Thanksgiving rolls around and I'm like, didn't I already do this?
Like you're always living in the future. Wow.
Yes.
That is interesting.
One
That
year
is so
I had made 7 turkeys by the time Thanksgiving came.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well then let me ask you one turkey question before we get to the questions from our audience, because that is one thing that in a lot of households, whether you guys cook at home a lot or not, that's one time of the year where a turkey does seem to be the popular choice of the masses. What's the best way? Are we deep frying it? Are we brining it? Like what's the quintessential turkey that we have to think about this year?
Well, I would say it's not complicated. Don't make it complicated on yourself. I like to keep a turkey really simple. I do an herb butter under the skin. And my number one secret to a beautiful turkey that tastes great is in your basting liquid, add a little bit of maple syrup, just a couple tablespoons, and it will make your turkey look like it came off the cover of a magazine because the sugars caramelize and get this nice golden brown, and it gives your turkey just this little hint of something extra.
I love that tip. I'm stealing it. Thank you. That's a good one. That is a very, very good one. Okay. Well, we have some questions from people anxious to get to you. So first up, yes, we have Jody, who is in our audience. She's going to come here and ask you her question right now. Jody, you're up.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Katie. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jody.
And this is my mom. That's my mom, Eileen.
Hi.
97 years young. I always have to tell her age. You know, you kind of already answered my question to some degree when you were talking about eating the bag of chips. Totally relate to that. You know, I mean, I'm a much better eater than a cooker, as Catt was saying. So do you have, I mean, like when you're in those moods, I just want a bag of chips. What's kind of your favorite go-to quick, it's going to be good for you meal that you kind of resort to?
It's really hard, isn't it? Because you just want to have something like salty and crunchy.
Yes.
So you're asking for a meal or a snack?
I'm actually asking for a meal. I mean, because honestly, you know, sometimes just to fill the hole, I'll just grab something, but I know that's not good. So,
Well, I love a sheet pan supper. So I feel like when I'm in the mood to just grab something and be fast, it's basically out of necessity to have something quick. So I love a sheet pan. I preheat the oven to 425. I always put a piece of parchment paper on the sheet pan so that my cleanup's easy. And then I look in the fridge and say, what do I have in here? I take whatever vegetables and an onion and chop it up, toss it with about a tablespoon of olive oil and some salt and pepper, put it on the sheet pan. If I've got a protein like chicken, I'll cut it into a similar sized chunk, throw it on there, or just leave it as the vegetables and do that with whatever kind of grain. I usually keep a cooked grain in the refrigerator as well. Like I'll make a pot of rice and just keep it in there so that I can take a scoop of that. And then those roasted vegetables, can of beans, put a little of that on there and some hot sauce. And that's just like kind of, this was easy. Let's keep it moving.
That's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was our first mother-daughter duo. I love that you brought your mom on there. That was so cute, and a great answer. I think we're all taking notes. We've got Melanie, who is also dying to ask you a question, Katie Lee. So Mel, you're up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, Katie. Hi, Kat. This is so much fun. And Katie, that maple syrup trick, I've never heard that before. That's like the most, speaking of like, that's the most like turnkey turkey tip I've ever heard.
Thank you.
It's so good. Okay, so you shared this a little bit about that back to your pre-baby weight headline. Mm-hmm. And I'm really curious because I'm a WW member. And sometimes when I share anything about the fact that I'm on a wellness journey, whether it be with friends or on social media, and I'm by no means in the public eye, like you are, I can sometimes get a little pushback or even like a little diet shame that I've chosen to be on this program when I know that it's not a diet at all, right? That I'm learning healthy habits and I'm learning how to eat in a way that works for me and balance and all of these, like, it's a really healthy lifestyle. And I know about the community, like I know all these things, but I can be like a little triggered or pushed back against that. So when you are sharing, your journey so publicly and being so honest and vulnerable about it, and then you see a headline like that, when something can be misconstrued, like how do you describe either your wellness journey or your WW experience to people?
When somebody says something negative or like I see a headline that doesn't really agree with what I think I said, I kind of just let it roll off my back. Like I've been in the public eye for a long time now, and I've learned that you just can't care what other people have to say. It's like, I remember when I was 21, someone saying to me, you better get a thick skin and get it fast. and that's how I feel. So it's like, I don't really understand this now. There is like this pushback, like you said, like you're on a wellness journey and somebody can kind of give you slack for that. And it's like, why? Like, it's a great thing to want to be healthy and take care of yourself. You only get one body and you have to take care of it. And it feels so good. For me, I feel really fulfilled by that. And if it's making you feel good, then don't let anybody give you any hard time for it. Just kind of go, okay, well, you do you, I'll do me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And it's awesome that you're doing it.
That's right. You do you, I'll do me. That comes up a lot these days, not just as it pertains to food, but a whole lot of subjects on social media. That's okay. You do you. I'm going to do me over here.
Yes.
Good advice. Okay. One more question from Sophia. Sophia, it is your turn to ask Katie Lee a question. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi,
so
Sophia.
I totally joined this. I joined this and I did not plan on speaking. But, I love to cook and I've cooked for a lot of years now. But what are your go-to, like, top 5 condiment staples, like flavor bombs?
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so I love flavor bombs because it's like you keep these things in your pantry and you can change up any dish and make it something different. So I always have capers, like capers and garlic and lemon. I feel like you can go that route for a dish.
Totally.
I always have red curry paste, green curry paste, because I can take those and like canned coconut milk and either make like a quick curry, or I'll do a marinade of like red curry paste and coconut milk, and I'll marinate meat in it and then grill it. Or you could make a vinaigrette and add just a little bit of the curry paste to it to have like a totally different flavor.
I
Miso
love that.
paste is a really big one for me. We love miso paste in this house. So, you know, whether we're doing like a miso fish, or I actually put miso in my chocolate chip cookies, and that is like a total game changer. And then let's see, other flavors that I always have around. Well, I guess this might not be a totally popular one, but anchovies kick up everything. So if you're making a sauce and you put some anchovies in there, or in a salad dressing, I always tell people, I promise you won't it doesn't taste like fishy anchovy. It just bumps it up. And Parmesan cheese. I feel like Parmesan cheese adds to everything too.
Always cheese.
Yes. And I made last night for my daughter, I made Parmesan cheese and breadcrumb crusted chicken. I mean, chicken fingers essentially. But having the Parmesan in there just made them so good.
I love the curry paste as a marinade. That's a great tip. Thank you for that. Because I always keep red curry paste, but I've never thought to use it as a marinade. So
it's so good. So good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh man, I'm getting hungry, all this talk. And hold on, I have to follow up with the miso chocolate chip cookies. Miso paste in the chocolate chip cookies? How much?
So I put a 1/3 cup of miso paste into my chocolate chip cookie dough. And when you taste the cookies, you're like, why do these taste so extra chocolatey and have this little hint of salt? And so it's kind of like salted caramel. It's so good, you know. But having that, it just like adds this depth of flavor, and it makes the texture of the cookie. If you like a chewy cookie, I love a chewy cookie that's almost like cookie dough-ish. It does that to the cookie.
Oh, so many good tips. Last question for you, and then we're going to let you go because we know your sleep is very important to you. We sometimes ask, but like to ask, if you could have a drink with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, that's such a good question. And the first person who pops up in my mind, because I was looking at a movie quote yesterday from a movie she wrote, is Nora Ephron. I would love to sit and have a drink with her. I was going through my phone yesterday, and I went back to when we were getting married, and I had screenshot this quote that Harry says about to Sally about everything he loves about her, how she orders a sandwich, how her nose crinkles, and all of that. And we actually had that read at our wedding. My best friend did a reading of it, and so that just popped in my head. And Nora Ephron's my favorite writer ever. So it would be her.
Fabulous answer. So cute and so romantic also. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I think you're darling, and that was so fun. That was really, really fun.
So
we appreciate you very much.
I really enjoyed. I love talking to you,
good.
Kat, and I love talking to your audience. And those were great questions, and this was a lot of fun. This kind of felt like I got to go out with some girlfriends and gossip and hang out.
You had a little happy hour while Iris was sleeping. So good. Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thank you, Katie Lee, and everybody can watch this whole conversation again on adrinkwith.com. And another big thank you to Think Protein Bars for making this experience possible. So everybody have a wonderful week. Lots of love, and we'll do it again next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.